enough, right? Or just like, well, this is the general area where I think you're a 6. So let's explore, or let's just take it a while. Yeah, exactly. I like that. So, I mean, that basically wraps up my channels. So, this is what I have here. Incarnation cross. My incarnation cross is left angle cross of migration. Cross of migration. Um, we'll talk about that first. Migration. Yours was confrontation.
Yeah. So what? It's like, why is it left angle cross? Is the same. Are the right crosses? First question from my head, and obviously, and then confrontation versus migration is what we're looking at here.
So actually, I see here there are types of crosses. Right is personal destiny. Left is transpersonal, personal interaction with others. So both of us have a interaction with others kind of path in our lives.
Okay.
So that's the first part. And then migration. Migration is about movement, transition, and connection. I am here to guide people through change and facilitate the formation of supportive communities. So you can juxtapose that against confrontation. And you know, I can kind of hear that in the different ways in which we conduct ourselves in life. The energy of migration suggests that you may experience many shifts, changes, or relocations in your lifetime, whether physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and that is absolutely true for me. So much so that I am quite discombobulated. I move through many stages in my life. When it comes to employment, I think on average I've been in a job for 2 years, and then it's the next stage of my life. So
yeah, it's fascinating. It's like the cycles. I see them as like James cycles.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably won't. I'm not going to do exactly what you did because I'm not the best at like kind of saying, oh yes, I've noticed that in James. Like, if it occurs naturally, I will. Because like I mean, yeah, but I need to look at it because I'm slow.
Mm-hmm.
What was you said about supportive communities? Like, I mean, that's basically guide people. Like that's literally what you're doing in the meetups. Like we have people come in, they want to know more about themselves. They want to know, self knowledge. They want to know more about their personality or what they should do with themselves. And you not only support them in doing that, but you guide them step by step, very organized way through every single thing that there is to know, in order for them to like kind of, to let that kind of percolate, and then they percolate and then come back later with conclusions. Supportive communities. I mean, this is something you talk about a lot, but like I don't know how to exactly explain how that works in our system because our system is still being formulated. But I can tell that you really like the idea of everybody helping everybody, so to speak, and like not any one person focusing on any one person per se, but just generally everybody's there for everyone. And supportive is a word to me that sounds like it would go against the Simon Cowell approach of saying anything really negative about someone. It's always kind of like, let's put a positive spin on everything. Now that might be exaggerating, I don't know, but that's how I view it. So I think that's what supportive. I don't really know actually. How would you describe that?
Well, I would describe it as the analogy I use often is farming. And I often view my role in situations as almost, I am not really I'm not the, what do you call this? Like, I'm not taking the active action here. I am providing a nurturing environment. I'm providing the information that I put into their minds. And then that information will do what it does to the person. And then they can come back next time having experienced what they experienced, and then we can do it again. And that's somewhat how I treat the meetups. It's like I'll provide the information, and then they will get the transformation they get over the week, and then we come back and we talk again.
So they're the soil, you're planting the seeds, but you're also the one that's making sure they get enough sunlight, they get enough rain or water, whatever, etc., etc.
Yeah, and I view
that's the environment setting.
Yes, and I view it as like that is the extent of my role. They're gonna get something out of this, and I will just trust that that's what they will what they get. I'm not going to direct.
You're expecting a certain amount of self exploration and also just self driven. I want to say progress, just self drive, because I feel like you could provide all the information in the world if the person is not willing to put the effort in themselves, like because you're not doing it for them. Like I'm the kind of person who will come in like this is what you need to do, and I'll facilitate that if I can. I'll even watch them do it or make sure that they do it. Whereas you're just like, here's everything. There's nothing else you could possibly ask for. On top of that, I'm gonna say it in such a way that it's gonna hit the back of the subconscious and find its way all the way to the front. But that obviously takes self-reflection, what did I mention earlier? Self-motivation, drive, etc. And I mean, it doesn't actually. You could just wake up the next day and be like, "Oh wow, that's what James," or like just not even realize it was something you said, and just like they might have a realization. So it could happen that way as well. I feel like it takes a little bit more than that. At least the people that keep coming back to us. Obviously, they're doing a lot on their own. They're reflecting a lot. They're in our Discord, talking to us and coming up with ideas. They're opening up in different ways that they probably wouldn't have opened up before. And none of this would happen if it weren't for the nurturing environment that you mentioned and the information that was provided in the way that you provided it.
Yep. And I'm reminded of one of our attendees saying like, oh, this time I finally got like my own, I can finally remember my own functions. Yeah. He said that. And then someone else is just like growing alongside us, and they're coming back again and again. And that's what I see is like, yeah, I'm going to say a lot of things that you probably won't understand right away. And that's okay. I'm going to show you that. And then later on, you'll realize, oh, yeah, okay, it's coming together. And I almost view myself as like I'm putting on new glasses for the person. And then over time, they'll get used to it. And I feel the analogy for you, I would say, is almost like a surgeon. Like you're gonna make a immediate adjustment that will fix things that it's gonna hurt in the moment.
Oh yeah, and that's also adds to the analogy.
Yeah, and in the long run, they will realize that's what they needed to hear.
Yeah, there's a lot of pushback. There's a lot of friction that happens. Even on, what I mean. It's like earlier I mentioned friction in the sense that like it's just two people not getting along. That's another type of friction too. Just I don't know if it's friction, but just that idea of like I'm doing something that's going to be painful, and it's just like you're not going to agree with me because you can't see what I see, and I don't expect people. Well, it'd be nice, but I don't expect people to see it. Some people do. That's actually kind of the point of it. Like there are some patients that a surgeon will say, "This needs to be done." Like I'm there with you. I get it. Let's get that out. I know why. I understand why. I understand it's going to hurt. I'm not going no hard feelings towards the surgeon. That kind of thing, and that also can happen. So again, it just really depends on the person. Yeah, and I see to further the analogy, I see that there is a similar relationship you have with your surgeon, which is I'm going to like allow you to do whatever you do. I trust you, and it's going to hurt. And it's in the long run, it's for my best, for my benefit. Yeah, when you talk about trust, though, actually, I don't even trust surgeons, but like, because I just feel like, man, they're gonna make a mistake. But that's a personal issue. What I'm saying is, though. No, you're talking about the other person. Well, I'm talking about for you, what you would like out of the people that you're talking to. Yeah, sure. That's what I mean. It's like I'm the one in control, and therefore I expect you to just do what I tell you. But when it's someone else taking control of me, then I've lost control, and therefore I don't trust it. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. That's not part of the conversation we're having. Yeah, I'm talking. No, I get it. With completely. The people you're relating to. Yeah, and like that's the thing. Like me, that sounds a bit. I don't think it's presumptuous, but like, what's the word I want to use? Like. Me saying, well, I expect you to just do what I tell you. That's my point here is not I'm not a control freak. I am, but I'm not. What the trust part is what I'm trying to speak to here. Yeah. I would never operate on someone if I wasn't 110% sure. 100% sure. So what I'm saying here is it's like I have done everything that is humanly possible, or at least that I know to be right, to prepare for this so that I can guarantee you that you're in good hands. And so that's why I expect in return complete, like just blind trust. Just lay back and let me do what I'm going to do. And so, that's okay. I'm not like that with everything. Just personal note. But that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like that's the whole point behind it. It's like, like I said, I wouldn't operate on someone if I wasn't sure. So
Yeah.
that's where the trust comes in too. It's like sometimes people will come. Actually, that's a good example. And I'm sorry, we'll come right back. People will come to me for help or information. I'm just not versed in what. I don't have the answers that they need. I'm not going to just like come up with something or force something out of myself. I might try a little bit at first, but I will immediately tell them as soon as I'm sure that I don't know that I don't know. I'll figure out what nice way to say it, or I'll offer some advice, but I will just eject myself from the situation right away because it's the exact same thing. I don't trust myself to know the answer, therefore you shouldn't trust me either. I'll tell them exactly like that, very bluntly. So it's the same. So I guess I was just pointing out the fact that it's like it's the whole idea of like offering help. It's not just like I know everything, I'm helping everybody. Like it just doesn't work. I think that's where the alignment comes in, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, the bluntness goes both ways. Like I can't help you. Like you just
yeah. So it's not like it's never just
decide
me always just telling people what to do. It's like also telling people what I can't do and what I won't do. Like I'm very firm.
So core aspects of your life purpose. One is guiding others through change, which is gate 35, which is change.
Yes.
And gate 5, which is rhythm. Interesting. And it says, I have the inherent ability to navigate transitions in life, both for myself and others. I'm here to help others move from one phase of life to another, whether in careers, relationships, or spiritual growth. And I understand that life moves in cycles, and I may naturally help others find their own rhythm.
So immediately, what you mentioned earlier about yourself and the transitions you go through on seems to be a bi-yearly cycle, you're also capable of directly, navigate. I guess navigate here doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing anything. You're just able to look at other people, sort of empathize, or I don't know what you're doing, and see, and just kind of like through their eyes how they might approach it. Right? Is that what that means by navigate transitions?
Yeah. And I also realized that a lot of, or so far, what I've seen is each person that has come to our meetup is someone that is in transition.
Let's see. Yes, almost everyone. We've had one or two people that have come just for the sake of being accurate.
Yeah.
There's at least two people that have come. Well, okay, so I don't know. I think they might be just they're resisting or just we're not for them because we had an INFJ that came to the very first meetup.
Okay, yeah.
I think that she wanted to know what MBTI was. Or I don't even remember how, because this was our first meetup, so it was like we were just going through we just went through the cognitive functions maybe, and yeah, that was it. She was like, yeah, I'm an INFJ. I feel like she might have been on the fence about that, but we kind of were like, yeah, you are, and then she never really reached out again. So point here was I don't know if she's in a transition or not. And then we've also had like another person come that didn't come, like might not come back, and they seem like they're in a, like they know what they're doing with themselves, but I could also argue the same, like they might also be in a transition or just either resisting, they don't know it yet, or they're in the process and just keeping it to themselves. So a not necessary digression, but yeah. But it does say that you help people. It says you help people move from the one phase to another. So I feel like you're also actively sitting next to someone or in some fashion or other, whether it's on the internet or wherever it is. But you've talked about family members that you've guided through things or explained things better to them, right? You've sort of, well, you've opened their eyes to certain things, right? And so I think that's kind of prevalent so far.
Gate 37, the family. Gate 40, the gate of aloneness. So we're going down one by one. Gate 37, the family. The theme here is harmony, community, emotional bonds. So just to let you know, we're transitioning into. There's an explanation here that better follows Derek's explanation here with his gates. So I'm going to talk about it through this way. The function of this family gate is this gate governs the need for emotional connection and tribal support, and represents the energy of friendship, agreements, and creating a sense of belonging. Okay, that's one gate of mine.
Sense of belonging for every member, I wonder?
Tribal support, so yes.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
And then gate 40 here is the gate of aloneness. Theme, work-life balance, self-sufficiency, knowing when to rest. Function, this is an individualistic gate that represents the desire for independence. It is the counterpart to gate 37. It's connected, emphasizing the need for solitude, self-reliance, and knowing when to say no. So I guess these are two parts of.
Yeah, so I guess you basically are looking at facilitating harmony, community, and bonds, etc., until you're tired, and then you know when to say no, or rather just to separate and then come back.
Yep. So that's how they're related. And then gate 5, fixed patterns, routines, natural rhythms, patience. This gate governs the flow of life through natural rhythms, helping maintain consistency and stability. It is about following inner timing and trusting cycles rather than forcing outcomes. And this has been a big recent learning of mine, and something that I'm learning to trust, which is like I don't have to force things. If there's nothing to say or nothing to do, then I will do nothing. And that is something I'm learning to do in the meetups as well.
Okay. Oh yeah, just routines. So are you saying that? So this is claiming that you like routines, right? It's saying that you like always doing things the same way or in the same order. And do you feel this is true about you? And what parts of your life have you found this?
So actually, what I hear this is related to is the thing that I say to us often, which is it's all going according to plan, Keikaku-Doori. And I also use the analogy of farming to say like, okay, yes, we've watered our crops. There's nothing left to do. We come back tomorrow. And the other thing that I also say is we cannot go any faster than our minds can think. Then our minds can think. And so I hear all of those in this idea of routines and rhythms. We have gone as far as we can today. We come back tomorrow.
And so then opposite to that, you wouldn't be very welcoming of like something that kind of breaks the rhythm, or how can I put it? Like, well, obviously not disharmony, but I think we're not talking about harmony here per se, because it says routines. Routines, I guess, is where I got hung up. Natural rhythms, patience. So natural rhythm, patience is what you described about the farming. Natural rhythm is what you described about the analogy. But I'm not seeing routine here. What's routine about it? Because when I hear routine, I'm being a bit stiff with it. Probably it's just I'm picturing like I always eat breakfast at 7, or I always eat this, or I always like to look up at the sky at this time of the day. I don't know, like we're just or maybe more broad, just like Mondays are this, Tuesdays are that. Do you do that?
Well, we are doing that.
What do you mean?
We are generally having our meetups on Saturday, and we're having our podcast every Sunday. And actually, each day, I generally have fallen into a natural routine of in the morning, I go to the cafe, I get coffee and a scone. So these, yeah.
So let me ask you this: if I took your scone away from you, if I was like, okay, just I don't have the podcast on Sundays anymore. What do you feel? What's your immediate reaction?
Well, why? I wouldn't know. I don't know what's coming next.
Okay, so all right, I've now told you that. I said we're doing it on Wednesdays. End of story. Like, because what I'm saying is like my understanding is that the disruption or unpredictability is what you have. You wouldn't be able to adapt to the changes. Is what it's saying. So like, how would you handle that? Because like, okay, let me just put it this way. What this says to me is that me doing that, you're like, no, we have to have it on Sundays. What I would picture someone with this gate doing.
I don't think that really is how I do it or the way I generally think. It's just that I naturally fall into a rhythm. And I think we naturally fell into a rhythm with a lot of things.
Well, I planned it. So I plan. I'm constantly thinking, oh, is this right? And in fact, I'm still trying to. I want to consolidate meetups and, like, for example, podcasts on the same day.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, I'm looking to do that actively. So what I'd love is an example of someone who doesn't have, like, what does a non-natural rhythm look like? Like,
well, I mean, I've observed that many times, which is in MBTI, I see TE, and probably NI actually. NI not having to have precedent for something, not having to build upon the system they've already built, and that's somewhat a kind of what a routine is, I believe. It's like, oh, we did these three things well, so we'll do those three things again, and we'll add this one more. That's SINE. That is the perspective of a routine and like incremental progress, right?
So more than me changing the time or even the venue location, what if I suddenly said, we're not doing MBTI anymore, we are now a pizza company, we're gonna make pizzas.
Yeah.
That has to make like shake you.
Well,
or just what it means, you're gonna say no. Right?
I'm going to ask a million questions,
Yeah.
and then I'm also going to say, well, then I don't know what to do, so let's just wing it.
Oh, that's fun. That could be really weird and fun. Now I want to start a pizza shop suddenly. No, but what you said about NIT, yeah, for me it's like I guess this is why I wanted to bring this up, because I noticed that I have routines too, but mine have a different motivation behind them.
Yeah.
And so I do it out of efficiency, or out of just I don't want to deal with it, or I don't want to think about it, or whatever. I just feel like that's the best time to do it. And I might even be a little bit stubborn about it, so that's why I thought it looks somewhat like SI, but it's still not that. It's I guess extroverted thinking or whatever, just me saying no, that's how I'm doing it. And so I find it interesting that the same type of phenomenon can occur for different reasons, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I feel like you are probably less stiff about it, which is fascinating, or are you? Because like if I took your scone away, I was like, you know what, you're not having coffee and scone in the morning, we're gonna have nighttime and we're gonna have hummus and pitas. It's like, those aren't the same thing. It's very random. Or if I'm just like, I don't know, like I wouldn't like that. Like that would upset me. And so I find that fascinating because there's no mention of that in my thing here as well. So I don't know what I'm trying to say. So hopefully that says something.
Well, okay. I've just noticed at work, I worked for what I believe is an INTJ boss. And the INTJ boss would just constantly give me, like, what do you call that? Breakneck? What is it called? When they completely change direction,
like
right?
A pivot, like a break at breakneck speed.
Yeah. I forget the term for this.
Is there a word?
But they completely change everything. They say, okay, we're going this way now.
I do a 180.
Yeah,
we say that.
And for me, that is just I'm like, why? and like give me the TI reasons, and see like that there are no TI reasons.
There aren't. There's zero.
They've looked out at the environment and they see that a new path to go, and that is what they're like married to.
Yeah.
That, and for me, where I build from, like I've come to realize that I build from past experience.
Yeah.
And then I explore from past experience, and thus when I do something new, I say I have no idea what I want.
Yeah, and you can't, because you've essentially either erased said past, or well, not for you, or rather just created a new situation where there is no past yet. So that's why you don't know where to go, because you have no feet on the ground. You don't have any background. You don't know anything.
Yeah, and I almost see this in a way. It is a huge advantage for people like you, where you are not like, you will build the new vision from where you are. Whereas for me, if you ask me to do that, I say, well, let's do step one and find out.
Oh God, great.
So
I guess
that's the routine idea.
Theoretically, if you've enough experiences and it's in the realm of what you've already learned previously, you could theoretically pivot from one thing you already know to another. Like if you moved into something, I don't know, where you've already had a background, you might be less fumbling to sort of get started. Or would you just go back to the beginning, start over again, because it's technically a different situation?
Well, I mean that's the advantage. That's the advantage of kind of how I think, where I see everything as sort of similar to something else, and so I'm like, well,
because
it's kind of like that, so I'll do it kind of like.
Because that wouldn't work for me. Like for example, like that's why I'm not really good at working with other people, because if I don't share the vision, first of all, like we've talked about, I don't care how fast I'm able to adapt. I won't. adapt. In fact, I feel like you would, well, like you said, well, I don't know, like let's start step one. I'll be like, I don't know and I don't care and I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So that's a difference.
The fourth gate here, which is related to fixed patterns, is actually gate 35, the gate of change and adventure. Theme: explorations, transitions, new experiences. Function: this is an energy for progress and trying new things. It thrives on movement, innovation, and experiencing the unknown. It seeks constant learning and growth. And I feel, how these gates work together. Let's read that. Gate 5, which is the fixed patterns. Gate 35, which is change and adventure, represents the balance between predictable rhythms and the urge to break patterns through new experiences. So these are two parts of me, actually. And yes, specifically gate 35, I see this as a big part of myself, where I am drawn to the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And purely for the sake, just because I feel that there is something to learn there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big part of me, and that's part of why I went into MBTI in the first place, because I feel there must be something better than what we have so far.
Right, but there must have been some sort of individual, I'm guessing, individual motivation there, because you could have gone into NASCAR.
Oh yeah, I think one theme would, if I were to describe the theme, I would say it is self-exploration, self-understanding. Because that's where it started, where I say I don't know why it feels like I am someone different, and I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where it started. I love like trying something new, but I also don't know anything about it until I have formed some sort of rhythm with it. So I will try it for the first time with zero expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I've done it 10, 20 times, I start to find some rhythm with it. And that's how it grows afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't describe why it grows. I'm just thinking like something you do, like if you, like the coffee and scone in the morning. Like after you've done that 20 times, what's growing?